Hello everyone and welcome to another video on JavaScript programming. Kaushal this side from Simplycode, and today we are going to discuss loops in JavaScript. So there are three different kinds of loops present in JavaScript: the for loop, while loop and the do while loop. We'll first go through all the three loops and then we'll move on to a project wherein we will create certain programs using these loops only. So before we begin, make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss an update from Simplycode. So without any further delay, let's get started. We will discuss our first iterative control statement, that is the for loop in JavaScript. So iterative statements or looping statements, we can say, are used when we want to perform an activity multiple times or n number of times. So we don't have to copy paste that code every time, but we can use iterative statements. Using iterative statements will make our code clean and definitely more efficient. So we have four different types of iterative control statements, right? We discussed it in the previous video. Let's move on to for loop, which is our first iterative control statement, and we'll move on to the programming part directly. So before we start, one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that we use for loop when we are clear with the number of iterations in advance. So let's start with our first program. In this program, we will print the multiplication table of 10 from 10 into 1 to 10 into 10. Let's start with coding. First we write the for keyword, and then we have three different parts. We have the initialization, which is separated by a semicolon. Next up we have the condition, and finally we have the increment or decrement. So this is the syntax for loop. Next up we have the open and the closed curly braces for the body of for loop. We'll change these three values as these are not the actual values, right? Our parameters for these three different parts of the loop are going to be different. So let me comment this one. So what we'll do, we'll leave it here only. We'll change it from here. So in the initialization part, what we are going to do is we'll create a variable. Let's say we are creating a variable var a, and the initial value of a will be 1. This initialization happens only one time when the for loop begins. We have to be careful about the condition we are going to use, because sometimes what happens is the loop runs forever because of a wrong condition, which will ultimately crash our program. So in the condition, what we have to do is we have to give a value as in for how long our for loop should execute. Here in this case, we want to print the table of 10, right? We want to have 10 iterations. So what it will do, it will start from a equals to 1 and it will go till this final condition. So let's suppose we are writing here a less than equals to 10. It will start from a equals to 1 and it will go till a less than or equals to 10. And next up we'll use the increment operator. We want to increment the value of a by 1 every time, right? So we'll use increment operator, a plus plus, or we can say a equals to a plus 1. Both are the same things, right? So here the condition will be like this: for variable a equals to 1, a less than equals to 10 and a plus plus. So here you can see the loop will execute from a equals to 1 till a equals to 10, and the value will be increased by 1 every time, because we have used the increment operator, right? Next up, the body of for loop will go like, so what we want to print here, we want to print the table of 10, right? So we'll use document dot write, and inside document dot write we'll use the h1 tag. So what we want to do is we want to print the table of 10, right? So we'll multiply 10 by a. For every iteration, the value of a will be multiplied by 10 and then it will be printed on the browser. So we'll close the h1 tag here in the semicolon. So here you can see we have printed 10 into a. Let's save it and check the output first, and then we'll look at the execution flow of this program. See, here the multiplication table of 10 is printed on the browser. You can see 10, 20, 30, 40, so on and so forth till 100. So what is happening is, firstly, the for loop is also known as the entry control loop. It means that the condition is checked initially. The first time the for loop runs, we perform initialization only once. So here the value stored at variable a is 1. Initially the value is 1. Next up it will check for a less than equals to 10. Is a, which is 1, is 1 less than equals to 10, then true. The control will be shifted to document.write and it will print 10 into the value of a is 1, right? So it will print 10 here. Next thing, it will go for the increment and the value of a will be changed to 2 from 1. 1 plus 1, or we can say 1 equals to 1 plus 1, right? So it will be 2. Now next thing, it will leave this now because the initialization happens only once. Now it will go for the condition directly. Now it will check for is 2 less than or equals to 10. If yes, then again the control will be shifted here and it will print 10 into 2 because the value of a is 2 now. And after that it will print 20 here, and after that the value of a will be increased to 3 because we have used a++. Then it will check for 3 is 3 less than 10, and same thing will happen, it will print 30 and so on and so forth till the value of a is 10. Now if the value of a is 10, it will print 100, right? And when the value is incremented, it will become 11. So what will happen? Now it will check for 11 less than equals to 10. No, we know that 11 is not less than equal to 10, right? Then it comes out of the loop and it will print nothing after that. So this is the basic working of the for loop. We'll go through one more program wherein we'll print the odd numbers between 1 and 10. So what are odd numbers? Odd numbers are those numbers which are not divisible by 2, right? So we have the odd numbers as 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and we want to print them. So the difference between each number is of 2. The 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 till 9, right? So what we have to do is we have to write here a plus equals to 2. We have to increase the value of a by 2. And instead of writing here 10 into a, because this time we don't want to print any multiplication table, we want to print a number only, right? So we'll use a only. Save it and check the output. It says 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So these are the odd numbers present between 1 and 10. Keep one thing in mind, that you have to give the condition wisely every time. So next up we have the while loop. Like the for loop, while loop is also an entry control loop, which means that the condition will be checked first. So the question here is how while loop is different from the for loop. If you guys remember, when we discussed that we must know the exact number of iterations, then only we can use the for loop, right? So the while loop is preferred when we are not aware of the number of iterations, or we can say we don't know if the condition will be true for a certain number of times. We'll start with the programming part now, and then we will discuss more about when to use while loop over for loop. So let's start with the program. In this particular program, we will print odd numbers up to a specific number. Let's say we want to print all the odd numbers up to 50. So we want to print all the odd numbers from 1 till 50, right? We came across the same program in the previous video as well, but this time we will use the while loop instead of for loop. So the syntax for the while loop is relatively easy to use. The code goes like, we start with the while keyword, then opening and closing round brackets, and finally the body of while loop in curly braces. If you guys remember from the previous video wherein we used the for loop, we had 3 different parts, right? We had the initialization, we had conditions, and the increment decrement part. Here we have only one condition, and until this condition holds true, the while loop will be executed. For example, here we want to print all the odd numbers from 1 to 50, right? So we'll first initialize a variable. Let's initialize a variable first. Let's say we have a variable x and the value of x will be 1. We used here 1 because 1 is the very first odd number, right? After that, inside the condition, what we want to do is we want to print the odd numbers up to 50. So while the condition will be like while x less than equals to 50. So the loop will go till x is less than or equals to 50. Or we can say x less than 50. That depends on us if we want to check for 50 or not. So the odd numbers will go like 1, and then we have 3, then we have 5, then we have 7, and up to 50. So the last odd number will be 49. So inside the while loop, we will print the value of x. So here we will print the value of x. Let's print it. Document.write. And inside this, we will print the value of x inside the h1 tag. Suppose we try to run this program now. It will go on an infinite loop. And the reason for this is we are not doing anything to increment the value of x. Just like in for loop, if you remember, we had the initialization first. We had the initialization here as well. Then we had the condition. We have a condition here as well. And then finally it has an increment or decrement part, right? So here we don't have that same increment or decrement part. We have to do it separately. So we'll increment the value of x here only. So here we will write x plus equals to 2, or we can say it is same as x equals to x plus 2. You guys are aware of it, right? So the reason is simple, because we want to go from 1 to 3 to 5 and so on. That's why we use x plus equals to 2. We incremented the value of x by 2. Save it here and let's check the output. So here you can see it says 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and so on and so forth till 49. So 49 is the last odd number before 50, because we are checking between 1 and 50, right? So 49 is the last odd number. Let me show you how the program goes into an infinite loop. So for that, what we have to do, we will comment this whole line here. Let's check the output now, save it, and here you can see it is refreshing forever. And this is basically how a program in an infinite loop looks like. The output of this program is the program will ultimately crash. So what we have to do, we have to open a new tab and then again we have to run the program with correct increment part. So here you can see, you can wait for it to become responsive or exit the page. So here you can see we have all the odd numbers from 1 up to 50 and the last one is 49. Coming back to the difference between the while loop and the for loop. We did the same program previously, right? Using the for loop. So where to use while loop over for loop? So consider a scenario where we are taking input from the user and the input from the user is y. We want to do something. Let's say we want to print something on the screen. Or if the input from the user is n, we want the process to be stopped. We can give the condition in the while loop, which will go like when the character y becomes n, the process will be stopped. We'll go through one such program once we are done with the DOM manipulation part, wherein we take the input from the user. Let's move on to the do while loop in JavaScript. In the previous videos, we have already discussed that both for loop and the while loop are entry control loop. That means the conditions are checked first, right? But the do while loop is a bit different, or we can say it is an exit control loop, wherein the condition is checked after the execution of the loop's body. Thus, an exit control loop executes at least once. Even if the test condition fails, or we can say the condition is wrong, the loop will execute once. Using the do while loop is relatively easy. It seems like we are giving the system a command to do something while the condition is something. So let's start with the syntax now. The syntax goes like this. We write the keyword do and we have a pair of curly braces for the body of the loop. And after that we have the while keyword and here we will write the condition. Make sure you are using the semicolon after the while loop. It's necessary while using do while loop. Keep this thing in mind. So we have two parts in the do while loop, the do part and the while part, or we can say the condition part. While part is the part where we write the condition. So let's define a variable first. Let's say we are using a variable. We are using a variable x and the value of x will be 5. So here we have taken 5 as a random value. You can take 1 as well. Now inside the condition part of the do while loop, this is the condition part where we are using the while keyword. So we'll give a condition. Let's say we are using while x greater than 5. It will check for the condition that if the value of x is greater than 5 or if the value of x is smaller than or equal to 5, it will come out of the loop. In the do part, we will write what we want to do. Let's say we want to print a single sentence here. We write document.write and whatever sentence we want to write. Let's say we are using
welcome to SimpliCode. So here you might be thinking that the condition is false, but the condition will be checked after the first iteration in the do while loop. So no matter what the condition is, the first iteration will happen always. So if we try to save this program and let's try to run this, here you can see the output is welcome to SimpliCode. A single line is printed. What is happening here is, although the condition we used was wrong, but the condition will be checked only after the first iteration. When the do while loop will perform this particular statement, when the document.write will be performed, after that it will check for the condition if x is greater than 5 or not. If we use here 6 instead of 5, let's try to write here 6 instead of 5, and if we run this program now, it will go into an infinite loop because we are not performing the increment decrement operator here, right? As we have discussed in the previous videos, the importance of increment decrement part. So we need to do it here after the document.write part. So what we'll do here, we'll write x minus minus. Today we are using x minus minus, and for the other two loops we use the plus increment operator, right? So the x minus minus is the same as x equals to x minus 1. Let's check the output now. Save it. Here you can see the output is still welcome to SimpliCode. The execution flow of this program will be like, it will first perform the iteration before checking the condition, and it will print here welcome to SimpliCode for the first time. When the loop will start executing, it will first perform this statement and it will write here welcome to SimpliCode. So then it will perform x minus minus, means the value of x is now 5 because we are decrementing the value by 1. So when the value of x is 5, then it will check for the condition if x is greater than 5 or not. So here we can see clearly x is not greater than 5 because x equals to 5 and it is equals to 5, right? So it will come out of the loop. Let's make few changes in the code here. Suppose we use here 10 instead of 6 now. And let's print the value of x as well. It will be easy for you to understand. So we'll print here x and we'll use a space so that it will be clear for you. We'll use here the br tag, and now let's try to run this program. Here you can see the output goes from 10 to 6 and it prints welcome to SimpliCode every time, right? If you guys are wondering where we use the do while loop, sometimes it may happen that even though the condition is false, but we have to execute that command. We use the do while loop when we want the code to output some sort of menu to the user, or to generate the menu at least once. We'll get to know about the do while loop in future videos when we create a program specifically for the do while loop. This video is just a syntax demonstration. We'll go through the examples of all the 3 loops present in JavaScript. So today we have 3 different problems for 3 separate loops, right? We'll go through each of the problems and we'll discuss the execution flow for each loop we'll go through. So let's start this session with the first problem statement. So the first problem statement goes like this. So here we have to write a program to check whether a number is prime or not. I hope you guys are aware of what prime numbers are, right? So a prime number is a positive number that is only divisible by 1 and itself. For example, 2, 3, 5, and we have 7 and 11. These are the first few prime numbers, right? If we take an example, let's say we are taking an example of 7. So 7 is a number which is divisible by 1 and 7 only. No other number can divide 7, right? So here in this code, we have to check whether a number is prime or not. So let me take you through the code. So here is the code to check whether a number is a prime number or not. Let me take you through this first. So we have a variable number, and the value of variable number can be any random value, like any number you want to check if the number is prime number or not, you can give that value to the variable number. So here we have taken 83. Next up we have a variable is prime, whose value is a boolean value, right? It can be true for a prime number or it can be false for a non-prime number. So we have used comments in this program to make it easier for you guys to understand. So here we have used the if statement to check if the number is 1. Because we know that 1 is neither a prime number nor a composite number, right? So we have to check if the user enters the value 1, or if we are giving the value 1, we have to check for it. So if user enters the value 1, it will print this statement that 1 is neither prime nor composite.
here in else if we are checking if the value of number is greater than 1 or not. So if the value of number is greater than 1, the control will be shifted to for loop present inside the else if statement, right? Here you can see we have the for loop here. The control will be shifted to this for loop. So here you can see we have initialized a variable I and the initial value is set to 2. That's because any prime number is divisible by 1 as well, right? So it won't make any sense to include 1 here. We'll start from 2 and we'll check until the value of I becomes half of the value of number. So if we take an example of 10, we'll check until 5, because you know any number greater than 5 won't divide 10, right? It's practically not possible. So we'll check for number by 2, or we can say we'll check till 5 only, and the value will be increased by 1 every time. Till now I hope you guys are aware of how to use for loop and why we are using for loop here. We can do the same program using while loop as well, but to make it more clear how to use for loop, we are doing this program with the help of for loop. So then we have the I++, or we can say we have increased the value of I by 1 after every iteration until the value of I becomes half of the number. So the condition number percent I equals to 0. So here is the main condition to check if the number is divisible by I or not. So the execution will be like, if we are taking here a number 10, it will start from 2 and it will check if the remainder is 0 or not. So if the remainder is 0, then the value of is prime will be changed to false and it will come out of the loop. Next, it will check for the value of is prime if the value of is prime is true or not. Here you can see if the value of is prime is true, then it will print n, or we can say then it will print that the number is a prime number, else it will print that the number is not a prime number if the value of is prime is false. For example, when we took the example of number as 10, so the value of is prime will be changed to false, because you know 10 divides by 2 is equals to 0, or we can say the remainder will be 0. So the value of is prime will be changed to false, and for false it will print number is not a prime number. So at last we will check if the number is less than 1. If the number entered by the user or any other number we have taken, like if we take here -5, so it will print the number is not a prime number, because by the usual definition of prime numbers, any negative number cannot be a prime number. That's a usual definition, right? So we have to keep this thing in mind, and here in this else loop we'll print that if any negative number is entered, we'll make sure that the program gives the output that the number is not a prime number. So let's try to run this program and check the output. Let's save this program, and the output says 83 is a prime number, as 83 is not divisible by any number except 1 and 83. For example, if we take here any number which is divisible by, so let's say we are taking 75. Save it now and see, it says 75 is not a prime number. Okay, here's a spelling mistake. It says 75 is a not prime number. So here we'll correct this. So we are done with it and save it now. Now it says 75 is not a prime number, as 75 is divisible by numbers other than 1 and itself, right? It is divisible by 3, it is divisible by 5, 15 and 25 as well. All these numbers divide 75 basically. So let's take a different value here. Let's say we are taking -7. Let's change the value here as, or we can take it as -75. Let's save it now. So it says the number is not a prime number. Or if we want to try for 1 as well, let's take it as 1. And let's check the output now. So it says 1 is neither prime nor composite number, because we have given here the condition if number is equals to 1, then it will print that 1 is neither a prime nor a composite number. You can try this program with the help of other loops as well. So let's move on to the second problem statement, but before that let me take you through the same program using the while loop. So here you can see we have used the while loop for the same instead of for loop. Here you can see we have used while I less than number by 2 and we have given the increment condition here, and we have initialized the value of I at the start of the program. So if we try to run this program, it will give us the same output. There will be no change in the output. So we can use while loop as well. So we'll use the while loop in other program. Let's move on to the second problem statement. So in this example, we'll learn to write a program in JavaScript to check whether a number is an Armstrong number or not. So we'll do this with the help of while loop. Let's have a look at how to implement this program. Before proceeding to the coding part, let's have a look at what is an Armstrong number. So an Armstrong number of 3 digits is an integer such that the sum of the cubes of its digits is equal to the number itself. So for example, 153 is an Armstrong number since 1 into 1 into 1, it means the cube of the digit 1 plus the cube of 5, that is 5 into 5 into 5, which is equal to 125, and the cube of 3, which is 3 3s are 9 and 9 3s are 27. So it will go like 125 plus 27 plus 1, so which is equal to 153. So an Armstrong number of 3 digits is an integer such that the sum of the cubes of its digits is equal to the number itself. So here we have the code for the same. This is the code to check whether the number is an Armstrong number or not. So here we have taken a variable and the value is 153. The value of the variable number is 153, right? Because we already know that 153 is an Armstrong number. There are few more numbers like 371 is also an Armstrong number. Next up, we have taken a variable sum and the initial value of sum is 0. We have used the variable sum to store the value of the cubes. And next up, we have a temporary variable so that we can break a 3-digit number, and we need the number after all this program, all these loops and all. We'll need the number, we'll need the original number to compare it with the sum of the cubes, which will be held in sum. So but we need to break the number as well, right? So we need a temporary variable to break it. Here we use the while loop, and the loop will run until the value of variable temp is greater than 0. So the initial value of temp will be 153 here. In this particular case, the initial value will be 153, and the loop will run until the value of 153 is greater than 0. Next up, we have a variable remainder that stores the last digit's value as we are dividing 153 by 10. So the remainder here will be 3. So the value saved at variable remainder will be 3 for the first time. Then what will happen will we are updating the value of sum, and the new value of sum will be 0 plus 3 into 3 into 3. So 3 3s are 9 and 9 3s are 27. So the updated value of sum will be 27. Next up, we are removing the last digit from the number. So for example, we have here 153, and if we divide 153 by 10, the answer will be 15.3. That's why we are using here %, because what % will do, it will convert the float value into an integer. So if we try to perform a simple divide in JavaScript, like if we try to divide 153 by 10, it will give us 15.3. It will give us a float value, but we want an integer value, right? So % will change this value to the nearest integer. So 15.3, the nearest integer will be 15. So the new value of temp will be 15. Then again this loop will be executed, and for this time the variable remainder will hold the value of 15 modulus 10, and the remainder will be 5, right? So the new value of remainder is 5, and the value of sum is 27 plus 5 into 5 into 5, which is 27 plus 125, right? So the new value of sum will be 152. And then again it will go to the temp and it will divide 15 by 10, and it will change the value to an integer. So 1.5 will be changed to 1. And next up, the final value of temp is 1, which is greater than 0, right? So it will divide 10 by 1 and the remainder will be 1. So next up, it will add 152 plus 1 into 1 into 1, that is 153, right? And then it will divide 1 by 10, using the %, but this time the value will be 0 because there's no remainder, right? Next up, we'll compare the value of the sum and the number variable. So the sum variable here, it is holding the value as 153. We break this number into 3 different parts. Then we took the cube of these 3 numbers and added them. So the final value of the variable sum is 153, and the initial value of number, or we can say the value we gave to the variable number, is 153. So right, it will print here that 153 is an Armstrong number. Or if we use any other number instead of 153, let's suppose we are using 121. So it will print 121 is not an Armstrong number. Let's check out the output once. Let's save it and see the output here is 153 is an Armstrong number. So if we change the value of 153 to 121. So let's check the output now. It says 121 is not an Armstrong number. Why? Because if we take the cube of each of the digit and we'll add them, suppose the answer here will be 10, because the cube of 1 is 1 and the cube of 2 is 8 and the cube of the final one is 1. So 8 plus 1 plus 1 is equals to 10. So that's why 121 is not an Armstrong number. Let's move on to our last problem statement, where we'll use the do while loop to find the factorial of a number. So here's the problem statement where we'll have to write a program to find the factorial of a number. So factorial of an integer is the product of an integer and all the integers below it, or we can say before it till 1. So if we take an example of 5, so the factorial of 5 will be, it will multiply each number before it. If we take 5, the factorial will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1, or if we don't include 1, that's totally fine. So this program is pretty simple as compared to the previous two we did. So this is a small one too. Let me take you through this. So here we have the program, and here we have 3 variables, right? We have a variable I, which is initialized as 1, then we have a variable n, which is 5, and then we have a variable f, whose value is 1. F is for factorial and n is for number we want to check the factorial of, and I is for checking the condition. So here what we will do, we'll use a loop where if we, for example, if we are taking 5, then the loop will go from 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, from 1 to that number. It's not like if we are using from 5 towards 1, but we are going from 1 towards 5. The answer will be same, right? Because we are multiplying all the numbers in both the cases. So here we took 5 as the number. Next up we have a variable f, and the value of f is also 1, as you know. So here we are using the do while loop. For the first iteration it will perform this. So the value of f for the first iteration will be f equals to f into I, which means f equals to 1 into 1, which is 1. So the value of I will be increased and it will become 2, and now it will check for while 2 is less than equals to n. Yes, 2 is less than n. So it will again go up and it will update the value of f, and the new value of f will be 1 into 2, that is 2. Then again the value will be increased and it will become 3, and then it will change the value of f as well. If it will become 6, and the value of I will become 4. Then it will check if 4 is less than 5. Yes, 4 is less than 5, and then it will multiply 4 with 6 because the value of f was 6, right? So 4 into 6, it will become 24, and then finally the value of I will be 5, and it will check if the value of I is less than or equals to 5, right? While I is less than equals to 5, yes, that's true, because now 5 is equals to 5, and it will again execute the loop, and the value of f will be 24 into 5, which is 120, and then again the value of I will be increased. Now it will become 6, which is greater than 5. So it will come out of the loop and it will print the factorial of a number. So let's save this program. So the factorial of 5 is 120, because see here we have used the factorial of n. N is 5 and the factorial is 120. So if we try to give any other number here other than 5, let's say we are using here 10. Save it.
it says the factorial is 3628800, or it's 36,28,800. So if you try to multiply 10 into 9 into 8 into 7 so on till 2, or we can say 1, the answer will be this. You can check it, you can Google it, or you can go through it in your calculator. So hope you guys got it. With this we are done with loops in JavaScript. That's all for this video, guys. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up, comment your doubts below, and subscribe to SimplyCode to never miss an update. Thank you.